mini chainsaw earns its keep. So what you can see in front of you there is the model, which is a lot of the old stuff that came out of the house, and then some of the branches that have been cut down prior to the electrical work being put in on the outside of getting the electrical installation done from Enedis. And obviously it's had a few weeks now, and it's just sort of died. All the leaves or the pines have more or less died off. I'd like to maintain as many of the branches and that as possible. This stuff isn't any good for burning. Certainly not in a wood burner. It tends to hold too much moisture, and it's very, very smoky. But it should make some fantastic trellis and screening, and the larger trunks that are going to come down. I'm going to have a go at sort of sculpting some furniture from some outside furniture. Obviously not not for the living room, but just play around with everything that's there and utilise what's been given to me with the house. I've been having various trips to the déchetterie, the local tip. I'm sort of on first name terms now with the guys that work there, and they're very, very helpful. You can get two types at these déchetteries. You can get the ones that expect that you're going to open up every single sack and prove to them why you're chucking it away, and you also have the ones that are just like, that's if it's encumbrant, which is just like old crap that isn't needed from a house anymore, isn't specific. It goes into one large bin. If it's déchet vert, which is sort of garden waste, it goes into another. If you have old furniture and stuff, that goes into yet another, and so on and so forth. And the stuff they call grava, which is kind of hardcore, what we call hardcore, and that goes into another one. So the guys there are very, very helpful and sympathetic to my cause, and the fact that I've effectively inherited an absolute ton of crap from a house which I could have done without. I don't mind the trees and stuff, because that's always useful stuff, but you had lots of the old furniture which the humidity got to and expanded chipboard, and you're never going to get that back to any sort of state as it was before. So it's just, unfortunately, that's just got to go. The old linen and stuff like that, which was wet and horrible and mouldy. Again, what are you going to do with such things? At one time, they used to take textiles specifically, but a lot of these recycling factories now won't touch it. I don't know why, and maybe someone out there can say why that is the case. But now they've closed off all the sort of the bins for textiles. Maybe it's because people were just putting crap in there. You meant to wash everything before it goes into these. There's a sort of specific containers for that, and I suppose a lot of people are just taking the opportunity to chuck in old stuff away and abusing the system. So now, unfortunately, all that stuff is going just straight into the encumbrant bin, which is just like the old rubbish bin. I don't suppose it would be a lot of use anyway to anybody, to be honest with you, the state that it was in, with all the mould and everything else. But the timber, one thing good about the pine trees is that they tend to grow fairly straight, which means you've got decent straight sections of branch to work with. And there's all sorts of things you can do. On the outside of the property, there's a wall with a small chain link fence above it, which is a bit naff. What I'd like to do is wrap the fence in either side with timber, with like timber screening. I think it'll look a bit more sympathetic and a bit more cottagey, and also then you could have stuff that sort of grows in and around and above it to soften the feel of the walling. And that the wall isn't too bad, it's not overly tall, but I've never been a big fan of chain link fencing. So if I can do something which is a bit more rustic, I think that will be better overall. And it's not, like I say, it's nice to be able to use this stuff and to play around a little with it. Obviously, I can't do too much at the moment because I'm concentrating on the internals. But once I get, if I can sort of trim off the can't even call them leaves, can you? If you trim off the pines from the branches and then grade them into various sizes and lengths, and at a later stage, then I'll have all my materials ready and waiting to see what we can do with it. And then the trips to the Shettery, now I'm able to go on a Wednesday morning, a Friday morning, and a Saturday morning. So I've started doing sort of 3 trips per week, and it takes around about 45 minutes in total. So it's not too far away. It's in the next local town, and it only takes about 15 minutes to drive there maximum, and then you just got to offload the stuff into the various bins and then return. So although it looks like there's a massive stuff there already, there's a whole lot less than what was there. And also we had the guys that come, the barristers, which are the guys that sort of take certain junk away. They're more interested in the metals than anything else. Although he did take the porn DVDs as well. Seemed to tickle his fancy, if you excuse the pun, and it weren't of any use to me. So they took away the old fridge, the old cooker, the old washing machine, dishwasher, and some other bits and pieces, which helped to clear a bit of a space. And obviously it's stuff that I can't really get in my car. I've got a little tiny car, a little tiny Ford, and it means everything needs to get chopped down anyway to go in there. I did actually manage to fold up the mattress that was there, horrible yucky mattress. I managed to fold that in two and wrap it in wire and put a cover over it and get that into the car. And thankfully, because it's only a sort of short drive, it came out of the car fairly quickly afterwards as well. So that's gone. The other parts of that bed are still in place, just the right-hand side of where I'm working. And they are going to have to get ground down because there's a section in metal there as well as timber. And it's not something I would have wanted to keep. Again, it's in a fairly rough position. It's got sort of fabric attached to it as well, so I don't need to be upcycling that. That just needs to go, unfortunately. Anyway, I did actually inherit a totally brand new bed with this house. It's only a thinnish one. It's only 1.4 meters wide. It's about 4'6" wide, which isn't the mode these days. Everybody wants bigger beds these days. But it was still in its wrapper, and the mattress is still in its plastic covering. So it's been sitting there for 12 years, never assembled. The instructions are all there, the fittings are all there. So that'll be put in place at some stage. I'll probably keep the mattress for a bed, but I'll probably get a slightly better quality mattress, because the quality of sleep is very important, especially at my age. I do tend to sleep like a baby anyway. There's not a lot that keeps me up. And I can kind of sleep on anything. I can't sleep sitting up. Never have done. So on planes and that, I've never been able to sleep on these long holes, which is awkward. But stick me in a bed and I'm off within a matter of seconds. So there you go. Things you never knew about Michael. Right. So just continuing on with this and using the little mini chainsaw, which is terrific bit of kit. Much quicker, obviously, than secateurs or whatever. Fairly easy to use, fairly safe. Although it'll only run for X amount of time before it sort of shuts itself down, and then you've got to leave it for about 15 minutes, and then you can restart it. And also, this one obviously needs oiling every so often. It comes with lots of free chains and other batteries as well, so you've always got one on charge. And yet, don't want to abuse it, don't want to trying to cut too big sections, but it's terrific for stuff like this where you're just trying to get the smaller branches cleaned up a little bit. And I've got a standard size chainsaw, which I'll be using to fell the rest of the trees. The trees on the right hand side there, just by the neighbour's barn, they don't bother me at all, to be honest with you. They don't affect sunlight into the garden. As you can see, there's tons of sunlight sitting on the garden. And there are other trees that I'm more concerned with, the trees which are at the front of the house, which the guy from Ennis very kindly cut down to just around about the cable heights, so that I can then tackle them. And there's some nice big chunks of trunk there that's going to be used. Like I say, I'm going to try and create some sort of garden furniture or something that I can utilise I could make some raised beds as well, and in and around the area. I'd quite like to. I quite like to grow stuff as well. I'll just try and turn the sound down a little bit of that. I've always been quite a keen gardener, which is bizarre really, because I was brought up in a house, first house I lived in, or the house I lived in for a long, long time in the northwest, didn't have a garden. So I was up to 19 before my parents bought a house that actually did have a garden. And obviously I moved a couple of months after that down to London. So, but I've always really enjoyed gardening. I think it's very, very therapeutic. I think it's very good for the soul. It puts you in touch with nature, which is always a good thing. And you get the benefits of your labour every year, as the garden progresses, as the garden grows and changes, and with the different seasons. So I'm looking forward to tackling this garden. It will be a garden at some stage, which would be nice to see. It's got effectively got three gardens. It's got the front garden, which is probably about 10 metres by 12 metres wide. So it's around about 30 foot by about 36, 37 foot. You got a large side garden which runs along the length of the gable end and right away to where the barns are. The main barn you're looking at there with the red brick showing that it's actually the neighbour's barn, and the barn, the door, the oak door that's just to the left of that, that's where my barns begin. So that's the first of three that I've got, and they obviously need renovating as well. But that's something for the future. That's when they need to do the internals of the house first. That's the priority. But this was a Saturday, and I sort of had quite a tough all week, one thing and another with the house. And it's nice sometimes. You can still do work which isn't going to vex you too much. It's not going to tire you out too much. And this was one of those things. I thought, it's a beautiful sunny day. Let's get out there and just have a bit of a trim up as well while we're there. Enjoy a bit of the outdoors. And obviously, everything that you do, doesn't matter what you do, you're progressing the renovation one way or another. So if you're not working in the house, you're working outside, you're still progressing, you're still doing something that's useful for the renovation process. And as you can see, there's still a lot of stuff there to cut through, and there's still a fair bit of stuff to throw to get down the shettery. But I'd imagine within a couple of weeks, most of that will all have gone as far as the shettery is concerned. And that would be nice, because I'll actually be able to start parking in. This is sort of, you got double gates there just to the right of where I'm working, and that will enable you to drive in. And the first barn, which is partially visible, that would be the garage. That'll become the garage for the house. It was at one stage, it was a stables. The first two barns weren't barns, they were ecuries, which are stables in French. So fascinating, really. It's gone from horses to horsepower that will be put into there. Right, anyway, so as ever, I'm getting near to the end of this video. Thanks ever so much for taking time to watch it. Please do comment. Anything and everything helps the algorithm, and please like, and let's see if we can't keep pushing the channel and get the word out that anybody is capable of renovating, and it's a great thing to do. And I'll see you in the next video.